Hey algebra, miss you guys. Hope you're doing okay. Well, today we're in the packet on Thursday's page, but some of you have said, I don't have the packet. It's okay. All right, I don't care. Just grab a piece of notebook paper and follow along. Don't feel like you have to print things off, all right? Get creative. As a matter of fact, when I look at this worksheet, I don't even know if I have enough room to do these problems. So I'm gonna grab some extra pieces of paper and do it on a blank old piece of paper with you. Okay, so today's topic is solving equations by completing the square. Let me remind you real quick what it means to solve something. When we're solving these equations, we're looking for where it crosses on the x-axis, right? What do I mean when where does it cross the x-axis? Well, this section is all about parabolas, quadratics, these U shapes. So we're looking for where this parabola, crosses the x-axis. We've learned quadratic formula. That was this thing, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We did that formula to solve for it. We also did factoring to solve for it. And the last 2 days, you've done square roots to solve for it. And now here's another way. All right, it's called completing the square, or as I like to say, creating a monster. You'll see. All right, here we go. So we've got n squared plus 20n plus 86 equals 0. The very first thing you want to do is get rid of the number that doesn't have a variable attached to it. So in this case, it's the 86. So what's the opposite of adding 86? Subtracting 86. Good job. It's like I can hear your voices. All right, so now we have n squared plus 20n, and here's where it's weird, all right? Here's the new stuff. I want you to put a blank right here, all right? Plus blank equals 0 minus 86 is negative 86. So all I've done is move 86 to the other side, and I made space for my monster. All right, so here's how we create the monster. You take this middle term every time, and you cut it in half. No, don't cut me in half. I'll do it. What's half of 20? 10. Then, the reason why we call this completing the square is because now we're going to bring in the square. So we're going to square this. So, cut it in half. 10. 10 squared, 10 times 10, that's 100. 100 is our monster. The thing in algebra is we just created this. This 100 wasn't here a minute ago. And since we created it on the left side of our equation, we also have to make sure we add it on the right-hand side of our equation. It's got to be fair and balanced. Monster here, monster there. All right, so now we get into something we're kind of used to, factoring. We look at this monster and we think about two numbers that multiply to give you 100, but at the same time adds to give you 20. All right. You've got 1 times 100. That won't do it. 2 and 50. That won't do it. Hopefully you're starting to see 10. 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. And 10 plus 10 is 20. So we can split this up. N squared gets split up. 20n and 100 gets split up into the two 10s. And then over here, this negative 86 plus 100, that's 14. All right, another way that you can write this when it's the same thing 2 times, you can write it like this, n plus 10 squared, right? There's 2 of them, equals 14. Why would we want to do that? Well, I'm glad I asked. It's because we can use square roots now. The opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. So we're going to square root that thing. What you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. So we're gonna square root that thing. Keep it balanced. So square rooting something that's squared, they eliminate each other. You're left with just n plus 10. Over on this side, if you type in the square root of 14, nothing really happens with it. Square root of 14 is just the square root of 14. So let's leave it. We don't want any decimals yet. All right, we don't want to round too soon. So just leave it like that. Remember the plus or minus comes in because a negative times a negative, right, from that square, is also a positive. So we've got 2 options that'll both get you that positive number. Anywho, we're trying to solve for n, so there's one more step left. What's the opposite of adding 10? Subtracting 10. What you do to one side, you do to the other. All right, so now we've got n equals negative 10 plus or minus whatever this crazy decimal 14 is, right? Square root 14, it's a yucky, yucky decimal. Ew, ew, ew. Yucky, yucky decimal. Ew, ew, ew. You don't have to write the decimal. Just leave it trapped in there, square root 14. That's much more lovely than this decimal. And then this negative 10 that we brought over, boom. It's a weird way to write things, but it works. All right, that's what we do in math. We make things weird. Now, it's just so that we don't have to worry about rounding or losing our decimals. So we keep it exact. All right, let's try another one. Let's look at number 2. All right, so number 2. Same idea. You got to move 83 out of there. So I'm going to add 83 to the other side. All right, and then as I rewrite this, remember you need to make a blank spot for the monster that we're going to create. We have n squared plus 12n plus blank equals 83. All right, time to create. We're going to take 12. No, don't do it. I'm going to do it. Cut it in half. Ah! And square it. So half of 12 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So there's the monster. Make sure that what you do to one side, you do to the other. So we're going to add it to both sides here. All right, so we've got factoring to do. What two numbers multiply to give you 36 and add to give you 12? Well, 6 and 6 will do it. You're going to see pretty fast with these that it's the same number that's in here cut in half. All right, on the problem that we just did, half of 20 was 10. We used 10. Same thing here, half of 12 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 plus 6 is 12. So we could write it like this. All right, so the n squared gets split up into nn. The 12n and the 36 gets split up with the two 6's. And then over here, 83 plus 36 is 119. We can rewrite this, since there's two of these, as n plus 6 squared equals 119. The reason why we want to do that is so that we can do our square root. Get rid of a square with a square root. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So square root that thing. Square and square root cancel, so you're left with n plus 6. Over here, the square root of 119, I don't think that's a pretty number. No, the square root of 119 is, ew, decimal, icky, icky decimal. Let's just leave it trapped in there as the square root of 119. All right, let's not release that crazy decimal animal. One last thing to go. We got to move this plus 6. What's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. That's right. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So now we get n equals negative 6 plus or minus square root of 119. Yeah? All right, let's do one more and then I'll let you finish the sheet on your own. All right, number 3. All right. First thing you want to do is move that 9 out of the way. So you have x squared plus 8x plus blank equals 9. Ooh, I kind of skipped a step from the other two. Are you okay with that? I just added 9 over here with the 0. 0 plus 9 is 9. And I made room for my monster. All right, time to create the monster. We take half of 8, cut it in half. Ah! Then we square it. Half of 8 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So 16 is my monster. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So make sure the green monster goes on both sides. All right, so now we've got some factoring to do. What two numbers multiply to give you 16 and add to give you 8? I'm thinking 4 times 4, right? 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 plus 4 is 8. So we have x plus 4, right? X squared got split up into x and x. 8x plus 16 gets split up with the 4's. On this side, 9 plus 16, that would be what, 25? All right. We can rewrite this as x plus 4 squared because there's 2 of them. And now we square root the thing. Whee! Whee! All right. So the square root and the square cancel each other out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. And you have x plus 4. Over here, the square root of 25. Oh, this one actually comes out nice and clean. The square root of 25 is 5. So we can write this one a little differently than we've done before. It's plus or minus 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 is also 25. So those are our two options, hence that U shape that we've been seeing with these parabolas. All right, one last step to go on this problem. We have to minus 4. We want to get x alone. All the other problems we've done so far had a square root in our answer, so we just kind of stopped. But this one's different because they're both integers. We've got this negative 4 and we've got this plus or minus 5. So we can technically keep going, right? You've got negative 4 plus 5 and you've got negative 4 minus 5. So negative 4 plus 5 gives you that 1. Negative 4 minus 5, if you type it into your calculators, you get negative 9. So this one has the answer 1 and negative 9. All right, so sometimes they come out nice and neat with integers, whole numbers, and other times they come out with those square root answers. All right, give the other ones a try. Check out the answer key. I'll post it on the blog. And I'll be online on Zoom from 10:30 until noon. So if you want to do some problems with me, I'll be there. Miss you guys. Hope you're doing okay.